I'm adding this to the beginning of the video just to indicate that anytime you see any cartridges, any ammunition in my hand or even in the gun, it's only my very own dummy rounds. See that primer? That's because this case has already been used. The primer's already been used. There's no powder in there. That's going to be the case for everything that you see in the entire video. And I just wanted to mention that particularly toward the end when I dry fire one of my dummy rounds. I hope this helps. Here goes. I've been wanting to make this video a long time because I hear this over and over and over, that a certain 9mm ammo does not work in somebody's Taurus G2C or G3C or G3 or PT111 G2, and I believe this is happening with the GX4 also. Now, there's nothing wrong with the gun, nothing wrong with the ammo most of the time, but it doesn't work, so people assume, my gun sucks, this Taurus sucks. Or, wait a minute, the ammo works in a different gun. This ammo sucks. But other ammo works in the Taurus, and that ammo works in another gun. And what the problem is many ammo companies make their cartridges too long for the barrel of the Taurus, okay? So the ammo that they make, they have to follow guidelines by an organization called SAMI. I don't remember what SAAMI abbreviates to. I have a picture here, but it's too far away. Anyway, SAMI specifies that the given length for a 9mm cartridge, round cartridge ammo, can only be as long as 1.169 inches. If it's any longer than that, it's not going to work in most 9mm guns. Doesn't mean that's always the case, but if you're producing 9mm ammo, you don't want it to go past that 1.169 inch length. So a lot of ammo companies will make their ammo at 1.169 inches, and they're making good ammo. However, 1.169 inch ammo does not fit well in most of these Taurus barrels. Most of the time. Not all the time. It depends on the shape of the bullet. It could depend on a lot of things, but I'll show you some examples here. So first I'm going to show you a empty cartridge, okay? So your ammo needs to fit just as far into that chamber as an empty cartridge does. Okay, so that's what it looks like with an empty cartridge. You drop it in, it falls in nicely, it makes a plunk sound. Reloaders like me call it the plunk test. I did not make up that term, very common. And if you have a cartridge that's too long, it will not pass the plunk test, okay? So this first test is going to be an overly long cartridge, 1.203 inches. I just made one that's longer than 9mm specifies. It's probably hard to see on camera. Tried to put a white background so it'd be easier to see, but it does not fit flush with the barrel. It's too long, as I made it to be too long. Now I will take a 1.169 inch long ammo cartridge. It has a typical 115 grain 9mm bullet. If you don't know what 115 grain means, grains are just a measurement. So just like pounds, ounces, etc., kilograms, grain is a measurement. In 1 pound is 7,000 grains. So anyway, the bullet here is a 115 grain bullet. I made it at 1.169 inches for an overall length. Now, it does not, it's hard to see, but it does not easily fit into this chamber. It's actually too long. That's not the ammo's fault, but it's actually because the barrel just does not like, and I use the term like loosely, I'm sure you know what I mean. The barrel does not like ammo 9mm cartridges that are this length with this type of round nose bullet. See, it's the ammo, the round is stuck in there. It should be able to fall right out. So that ammo, that particular round, would not pass what I just explained is called the plunk test. That is going to cause your gun to jam. I'll try to show that later. So the next one I'm going to show is one at 1.123 inches. It's shorter than the SAMI spec, and that's okay. I made this myself, and I know that it fits because I worked its length shorter and shorter and shorter until it fit this barrel. Fell right in, fell right out. It passes the plunk test. Fell right in, fell right out. And of course, part of that equation is that the base of the cartridge is flush with the base of this particular barrel that Taurus uses. I'm going to show you the 1.169 again. You probably can't hear that, but see how it just gets stuck in there because it's too long. Then I'll just, for fun, show you one that's exactly 1 inch. Just goes right in, goes right out. Because it's short enough that that bullet, the copper part, is not going too far in to the chamber. If it goes too far in, it's gonna push the whole cartridge out. Shown best with this long cartridge. So what that ultimately translates to is your gun jamming. And a lot of manufacturers, what they will do is they know what this specification is by SAMI, but what they do is they make their bullets, or I'm sorry, they make their ammo, their each completed cartridge, excuse me, at a shorter length than SAMI specifies as the maximum length, and that's fine as long as it's safe with the amount of powder, with the primer that they use. And so some of their ammo will fit in just about or even every gun. But this particular Taurus barrel, again, PT111 G2, G2C, G3, G3C, and from what I understand, the GX4 has this issue as well, even though they do not use the same barrels. Or maybe they do, I don't know, but different length anyway. So that's why it will work in some guns. Some guns, that's fine, especially usually guns with longer barrels. But guns with shorter barrels, this is becoming a more common issue in gun manufacturing. So what happens when you have ammo that's too long for the given gun, okay, it should line up like this. Should be perfect. I'm holding it there in place because it's held back by spring pressure. But if the ammo cartridge is too long, let's exaggerate it. It could come out like this. When it comes out like this, the ammo cartridge will not go all the way in, and it's going to hold the slide back so it will not go into battery. And if it does not go into battery, that round is not in the right place for, you can't see it here, but it's not in the right place for the firing pin inside this slide to strike that primer in the middle and then push the bullet out. That's what happens. Sometimes with the force of what you're shooting and the recoil spring that you have in your gun will push that bullet further into its case and you can fire. But many of those cases will just jam. Again, nothing wrong with your ammo, nothing wrong with the gun. It's just that they're making these barrels require lengths that are shorter than the specification, which is problematic for people trying to find just the right ammo for their gun. This is an easy resolution for someone like me. I reload, I make my own ammo, but I've also used tons of factory ammo too, and I've come across the same thing. So when I make my own ammo, I just make sure that it's gonna fit in the barrel. One other thing I wanted to show you, you might even have ammo that's the right length that the typical gun likes. But there's so many different types of bullets, different shapes bullets. Like this is a flat nose 150 grain bullet. And I put it in the barrel and it's gonna stick. And that just has to do with the shape of the bullet sometimes. So some barrels, they just don't agree with certain shaped bullets and certain lengths. And in the Taurus G series guns, the problem lies with the length of the ammo being too long, even if it's within its specification, being too long for this particular chamber. But when you find that ammo that does fit flush, comes out nice and easy, then you know that it's going to work, or assuming it's got the right amount of powder, etc., etc., etc. But it needs to be able to fit flush and make that nice little plunk sound when it drops into the chamber. Plunk, plunk, fall right out like that. So I know that's a boring view there, but I wanted to put the numbers up. I wanted to show you the barrel with the different length ammo cartridges so that you could see exactly what goes on and why you might be having problems with some ammo and not others in your Taurus. Here's going to be a real live example of using an ammo cartridge that's too long, inserting it into the gun. Let's see if it'll chamber properly. Well, in this case it did. Normally what happens is it'll be slightly back like this. Maybe not even enough that you can see. And that firing pin comes out and hits the back of the ammo cartridge's primer, but it doesn't fire. And people think that's what's called a light primer strike. And it's not a light primer strike per se, because when it's not back far enough, it's not being held in place into the chamber, and the firing pin doesn't have enough room to hit the end of the primer and ignite it. And be glad that it didn't, because you don't want that ammo to go off during out of battery. So I'm going to fire this right now. See what happened. The gun is jammed because the ammo cartridge is too long. So that's just one example, but sometimes it won't even go in. But again, it's not a real light primer strike when that happens. Hope that helps. Stay safe.